What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV, back here for another episode of Predict the Prem, where me and my brother go head-to-head in predicting Premier League outcomes. And we have our scores on the doors as well, which is 157 to Sim, 160 to me. And the way the scoring works, it's 5 points for a completely correct scoreline, 1 point for a correct result, and the star man as well. It's 5 points for a goal scored and 3 points for an assist. And once you pick that man, you cannot pick them again for the entirety of the season. And we've got one extra game to bring you this week as Fulham play Chelsea tonight. So there's a double game week for the star man. And let's get into the Fulham-Chelsea predictions. I've gone for 1-0 to Fulham. Sim's gone for 2-1 to Chelsea. And I don't know, I'm just not convinced by Chelsea. And I know without Mitrovic, they don't have Mitrovic tonight, so they might find it a bit difficult to score. And that's why I've only gone for 1-0. So 1-0 to Fulham.
I feel like Chelsea are playing really badly at the moment, no doubt about it. They're struggling. They're 10th in the table. You know, they're below Fulham, unbelievably, in the table right now. But with their quality that they have, I know they've got injuries themselves, Chelsea, but with Fulham without Mitrovic, I feel like Chelsea should have enough quality to get the points this time round. And I feel like I'm not sure if things are going to turn for Potter straight away, but I think it could be just one of those hard-fought victories for Chelsea in a London derby.
Interesting. Let's move on to Aston Villa against Leeds, which is a very interesting matchup. Both teams on poor form at the moment. Sim's gone for 3-2 to Aston Villa. I've gone for 2-1 to Aston Villa. What are you thinking about this game?
Yeah, I think Villa under Unai Emery at home, I think they're going to really go for it. I think they've been decent under Unai Emery. Since he's come in, obviously he beat Spurs away not so long ago, and I think they've definitely got more structure about them, and obviously he's a very good manager. They did obviously have that very damaging home defeat to Stevenage in the FA Cup. They're going to want to respond to that, so I do think it's going to be a very open game. Leeds at the moment 4 without a win, conceding lots and lots of goals, so I do think with Villa's attacking talent they're going to be very leaky, but I also think Leeds are going to go for it because they need to turn that around, that winless streak. So I do see lots of goals. So I've gone for 3-2 to Aston Villa. I think their defence is just a bit better than Leeds is.
Yeah, I also see a lot of goals, but obviously not as many as you see. I think that Villa on the back of that Stevenage defeat, really bad defeat, Unai Emery is definitely going to get into them, and I think you're going to see a much improved performance from Aston Villa against this Leeds side. Leeds, on the other hand, 3 draws in a row, 2 losses. Well, a loss before that against Man City. I think it will be actually a really good game of football, end-to-end stuff, but I think Villa will just do enough to nick it, and I think Unai Emery will really get into them after that Stevenage defeat. So I've gone for Villa just to sneak it 2-1. Next up, Manchester United against Manchester City in a big Manchester derby. Sim's gone for 2-2. I've gone for 2-1 to Manchester City, I believe. And Man United, they're playing really well at the moment, but I think Man City are just going to have too much quality, and I think they will nick the game 2-1, but I think it'll be much closer than maybe previous Manchester derbies because of the way Ten Hag is setting them up and getting them to play their football. And look, I think Man United, as much as they're playing really well at the moment, I don't think the wins can last forever. And against the Manchester City side going for the title, and they know they really need to gun down Arsenal with 5 points is the gap. So I think Man City will take all 3 points.
Yeah, I think losing 3-1 to Villa before the World Cup, they've gone on a streak of 8 wins in a row in all competitions, and they're going to be full of confidence. I believe as well that the players they have in the forward positions, like Rashford, who's in sparkling form, he's a big game player as well. Rashford, he likes the games against the big teams where they provide him a lot of space.
7 and 6 he's got.
Yeah, and yeah, well, in all competitions.
In his last 6 games,
yeah. And as well, I'm saying like in these games against the City and Arsenal and like teams who leave a lot of space in the back line, he's really devastating in these games. And with the confidence Man United are going into this game, I actually see them getting something out of it, especially at home. And they all want revenge as well for the 6-3, I think, wasn't it, defeat early in the season. I don't think it's going to be like that. Man City, also from their point of view, they're obviously, look, they've just beaten Chelsea twice, but I don't see them right now on top of their game. I'm not saying they're playing badly, but I don't think they had a recent draw to Everton and they dropped points. Wales, they had a recent loss.
Well, they lost to Southampton last night in the Cup.
Last night they lost to Brentford just before the World Cup. So they haven't had some great results of late recently, and I see potentially more drop points at Old Trafford.
You're just handing Arsenal the title. That's all you're doing.
Am I? Wait till later.
Let's move on to Brighton against Liverpool at the Amex. Both of us going for draws in this game. Same going for 1-1. I'm going for 2-2. Tell me your thoughts.
Yeah, Brighton are full of confidence right now, especially at home. They're playing really well. They've beaten the likes of Chelsea. They just had a very good FA Cup win. They just beat Middlesbrough 5-1, and then they obviously beat Everton 4-1 away from home. Liverpool, I think they're struggling midfield right now, and I think they're, especially away from home, I think they're going to be struggling to maintain control in this game, and they're not quite. They're playing well, but I feel like Brighton away is going to be a very difficult task for them, and I feel like Brighton are going to get a result here. It's going to be a close game.
It's interesting because I think Brighton are actually playing their best football away from home this season. They've had 2 back-to-back losses at home now, Arsenal and Aston Villa. Liverpool, on the other hand, they just got battered to Brentford, really. Brentford completely deserved all 3 points, and it could have been even a higher scoreline. And with Van Dijk out injured now for the foreseeable future, I think Liverpool are really going to struggle at the back. And I can't really separate these two sides. With the way Brighton are playing at the moment, with the way Liverpool are playing at the moment, I think it's just going to even itself out. So that's why I've gone for 2-2 at the Amex. Next up is Everton against Southampton. We've gone for the exact same scoreline here in 2-1 to Southampton. Everton are just laying over for everyone they're playing against. But so are Southampton at the moment, to be honest. Nathan Jones have had a really poor start to life at Southampton, but I think things could change here with that win against Manchester City in the Cup. I think it will give them all the confidence that they need to go to Goodison and get the result and maybe say goodbye to Frank Lampard.
Well, he's just had the dreaded vote of confidence from the chairman of Frank Lampard, which doesn't usually bode too well. And in that sense, because it kind of gives the impression that the board knows something's going wrong if they feel like they have to give the vote of confidence publicly. For me, Lampard has to be under serious pressure. 18 games in, currently bottom of the league. If Southampton win, they go level points with Everton as well, which is crazy to think about because of how bad they've been. Southampton, obviously, rooted to the bottom, not playing very well at the moment, but the win against Man City I think will give them the shot on the arm they need to maybe spring them into life. Not necessarily saying that they're going to be safe now, but I definitely think from their point of view they might start getting a few results in the short term after that very big win, and I think it's going to start at Goodison Park. Everton just look short of ideas right now. They don't, like at the beginning of the season they were getting some good results through some really good compact defensive work, grinding out 1-0 wins and 0-0s and stuff like that. And to be fair, they did just get a 1-1 draw away at Man City, so give them credit. But when it comes to games where they need to, actually go and win the game, they're really struggling. When they're opening up at all and trying to attack teams and saying, all right, we're going to win this game, they're coming up short right now. And I think in this game, Southampton, we're waiting for them.
It's a massive game for both clubs, this. Massive game. Let's move on to Nottingham Forest against Leicester. Sim's gone for 1-0 to Forest. I've gone for 1-1. What are you thinking on this one?
Well, Forest, one loss in their last 5 league games. And they've just gone through in the Carabao Cup. Their home form has been pretty decent as well.
They haven't lost at home since September.
That's very surprising to hear as well.
It's mad,
September.
isn't it?
What's in Spurs?
No, Fulham.
They've just got drawn recently at home to they beat Liverpool, and they drew recently to Chelsea at home 1-1 as well. They just went through on penalties in the Carabao Cup in midweek. So I think coming up against a Leicester team not in great form, and with Brendan Rodgers cutting a very unhappy figure right now after it seemed as though they had turned results around, things seem to be turning back the other way.
World Cup came at the wrong time for them, didn't it?
Yeah, 3 consecutive losses. To be fair, they've had 3 difficult games after post-World Cup, but they have 3 losses in a row now, and still without Maddison. I don't know where the creation's coming from, so I've gone for Forest to nick it 1-0.
Yeah, Maddison is a doubt for this game. They said on the injury website that he's 25% chance of playing, so I don't think he will make this game. And without him, I do fear for them. I think Nottingham Forest, you've got to be super impressed with the way Cooper's done his jobs, bringing in those players, and finally they're starting to gel, and they're playing some good stuff. Like I said before, haven't lost at home since September. But I think with the 3 losses on the road that Leicester are going on, they're going to want to change it around, and they'll probably look at this game thinking that they can get something from it against Nottingham Forest. So I've gone for a 1-1 draw. I mean, I don't think Forest are going to win every game at home. Obviously, they did draw with Chelsea. They drew with Brentford, and they beat Tottenham in the cup and Palace, and also they beat who was it? Wolves on penalties a few nights ago.
If Forest win, they could go as high as 13th.
Yeah, it's crazy to think about.
It goes to show how close it is, but as well, like, they're only, and they could overtake Leicester as well, considering where they were a few weeks ago. They looked doomed, and all of a sudden, mid-table.
Yeah, and with these sides so close to each other in the league, I just feel like, again, they might just cancel each other out, and Leicester will nick one, and I feel Forest will nick one as well, so I've gone for 1-1. Next up is Wolves against West Ham. Sim's gone for 2-1 to Wolves. I've gone for 1-1 in this game once again. And I think West Ham showed signs of maybe turning around in the last game. Finally, their new signings in Scamacca and Paqueta getting on the score sheet and then taking all 3 points. Wolves, on the other hand, under Julian Lopetegui, I think, look, still haven't won a game under Lopetegui. And
they won their first game, didn't they?
Oh, against Everton.
Yeah,
haven't won their first game, haven't won since then. And I think West Ham might go into this with a bit of confidence after a good performance in the last game. So I went for 1-1 once again.
It's interesting one with Lopetegui and Wolves. I think they've done really well since he's come in. They won the first game. They narrowly lost 1-0 to Man United in his second game, which was a very close game. They then drew away at Villa, who are doing well under Unai Emery. And then in the 2 games in the Cup, they obviously they were robbed of a win at Anfield, where they really should have won that game if it wasn't for a dodgy offside decision. And then they lost on penalties to Nottingham Forest in midweek, but that was a very close game. But they seem to be in all the games, and they seem to be playing very well, with the knowledge that if they win this game, West Ham are in the relegation zone, which is crazy to think about. And maybe they'll think of Moyes' future if he does have a defeat in this game. But I think Wolves right now are actually playing well. I'm actually quite impressed with them, and they've got Cunha now, who got he got an assist last night, and he looked pretty good. And I think under Lopetegui, things are starting to turn for them, and I think it's going to carry on with their first home win under him against West Ham.
Yeah, the thing is though, West Ham are starting. I mean, showing signs of turning that corner. 2-2 away draw at Leeds and a 1-0 away win at Brentford, which is very impressive, to be honest. So we'll see how it goes in this game. I've gone for 1-1. Sim's gone for 2-1 to Wolves. Let's go on to Brentford against Bournemouth. We've gone for the exact same scoreline here in 2-0 to Brentford. And I think this was probably one of the easier results to pick this week. And I think Brentford, apart from that 1-0 loss to West Ham, are on really good form. 2-2 draw against us, 2-1 or 3-1 win against Liverpool. And Bournemouth are just playing really poorly at the moment, losing every game, and I can't see it changing here.
Haven't scored a goal since the World Cup, Bournemouth, and obviously they gave Gary O'Neill the full-time job. I think that was a mistake in my opinion. I think they were blinded by some decent form when he first took over, but I don't think they took into account the form really starting to slip just before. And I think he got saved. It was interesting. I think he got saved just before the World Cup. The last game before the World Cup, they got a home win, 3-0 against Everton, and that kind of convinced the board, okay, we're going to give him the job. But I think they should have really got a good manager in, like Villa and Wolves have done. Post-World Cup, because right now they can't score, they're losing every game. Brentford away is, who are unbeaten in 5, who are very good, very solid defensive team, who are very hard to break down and very good at set pieces. They have a very good system going on at Brentford, and I can't see Bournemouth keeping them at bay. Do I see Bournemouth scoring? I think it's going to be very difficult. They're relying on direct passes into Kiefer Moore and Solanke, and I think Brentford are going to have enough to deal with it. So I'm gone for a 2-0 Brentford.
Yeah, and maybe Scott Parker's words about the board and about everything going on at Bournemouth is ringing even more true now after the form they're on. But let's move on to Chelsea against Crystal Palace, another London derby here. Both of us have gone for 1-0 to Chelsea.
I said 2-0.
Oh, Sim's gone for 2-0 to Chelsea. I've gone for 1-0 to Chelsea. And look, I think Palace aren't playing well at the moment. Just got battered by Spurs 4-0 at Selhurst Park. Chelsea aren't playing well either, but I feel like João Felix with the new signing might give them a bit of confidence and a bit of hope going into this game. So I've gone for Chelsea just to nick it. Yeah,
I think Palace's form is really must be a bit worrying for Vieira. I know they're still mid-table, they're still doing okay, but their form, especially losing 4-0 at home to Spurs, I was considering how we were playing, must be a bit alarming. I do think they've got obviously the talent to hurt Chelsea, who obviously are going to go for it. We know at home with the talent they have, Chelsea are going to obviously come out and try and win the game. Palace with Zaha or Leeds and Eze, they're going to have players to hurt them, but I feel like they're struggling for really consistent performances and consistent like chances created at the moment. They're relying a lot on individual brilliance from Zaha and stuff like that. But I feel like he needs to get Zaha, Olise and Eze kind of in tandem a bit more to get the best out of them rather than relying on them all individually. And I think Chelsea are going to have just too much. So I've gone for 2-0.
Do you think Palace can be drawn in to the relegation scrap this season?
No, I don't. I think they're the limit. I think that anyone below Palace can. I don't think Palace. But I can't see what's it called all these teams being above Palace in come the relegation.
Just about all right. They are Palace
now. Yeah. I think they'll finish mid-table. They could even finish as low as like 14th or something, but I can't see them getting dragged into the relegation. There's too many teams in between them, and I can't see the teams below them being more consistent than Palace.
That's fair enough. Next up is Newcastle against Fulham. Newcastle haven't conceded a goal at home since early October, but I've gone for them to concede here. I've gone for 2-1 to Newcastle. Sim's gone for 2-0 to Newcastle. And Fulham playing really well at the moment, so I feel like they can nick one from somewhere. With Mitrovic will be back in the side for this one, but with Newcastle, with the way they're playing, especially at home, you can't look away from a Newcastle win.
Yeah, I can't. I think anything other than Newcastle win and a clean sheet as well. They're just so consistent. Even in the cup in midweek, you would think maybe given it's a cup game, it's going to be more attacking and more open. But still, another 2-0 victory, another clean sheet. That defence is absolutely imperious at the moment. And if they can keep Mitrovic quiet, which I really believe they can, I can't see Fulham getting a goal. And I think it's going to be another clean sheet and another win for Newcastle. I guess Fulham might fancy themselves to try and get a draw out of this game, considering how defensively solid they are. But I can't. I think if Newcastle take the lead, it's going to be another clean sheet and another victory.
Yeah, and think about it. I think Newcastle beat them 4-1 in the reverse fixture, didn't they?
They did, yeah.
At Craven Cottage. So maybe Fulham will want a bit of revenge, but I just can't see it, to be honest. And the last game of the weekend is the big one. It is the North London derby. Both of us going for Spurs wins here. Funnily enough, Sim's gone for 2-1. I've gone for 3-2. And I've got a feeling this could be a bit of a high-scoring one, with Spurs' defence not the best at the moment. Arsenal, I'm just going for form out the window for Arsenal on this one, to be honest, because defensively they look good. They look good going forward as well. But I guess I'm just going to go with my heart over my head with this one.
I think this could be quite a good game of football. I think two tactical teams who have a very specific way of playing. And I think Arsenal are going to come out and they're going to come flying out the traps. They're going to be thinking we're winning this game, the way they're playing at the moment. And why wouldn't they? But that's going to leave spaces for the likes of Son and Kane and hopefully Kulusevski. That's why I'm thinking Spurs might be a bit better than they have been recently, because I'm hoping Kulusevski and Bentancur are fit for this game. And if they are, that improves Tottenham so much. And hopefully Arsenal come into this game underestimating us. And home in a North London derby, we haven't lost to them in a league game at home since 2014. So it's a long time. Yeah, so coming up to 8-9 years now that we haven't lost at home in a league game. So I'm hoping we can keep that going, and I hope we just go for it a bit. Like, not obviously, you don't want to leave ourselves too open, but I hope we actually do have some attacks and we can get at Arsenal, because with our attacking talent, there's no reason why not. So I'm just praying and hoping a 2-1 win. More hope than a heart overhead, but we'll see.
Yeah. All right, let's move over to the star men. All right, Sim's taken full use out of the double game week this week with Mason Mount as his star man, and I've gone for James Ward-Prowse. And I think since Nathan Jones has come in, it's kind of revitalised Ward-Prowse a bit. He's getting on the score sheet a bit more, and against a very poor Everton backline, I can see him having a bit more joy with assists. Takes the free kicks. We all know how good he is at free kicks and penalties as well. So I've gone for James Ward-Prowse.
And he's scoring a lot of free kicks at the moment, isn't he? I think Yeah, he scored like 2 in his last 3 games, I think. So he's really, really bang on with them. But I think Mason Mount, I was looking for a Chelsea player because obviously the double game week. I have picked Havertz already. I think Sterling might have an injury. And they don't really have too many other players who are guaranteed starters. So I've gone with Mason Mount. I think there's 2 games he was going to fancy as well. And I actually think, in a way, because he's been a bit off the boil recently, hopefully he'll see these games as a way of turning it around. And sometimes when Mason Mount gets on form, he can bang in he can get goals and assists quite regularly. So I've gone for Mason Mount.
All right, so there you have it. That is our Premier League predictions for this weekend and tonight. Let us know in the comment section below your score predictions, who you think is going to come out on top, and also your star man for this weekend. Thank you everyone for joining us today. Like, subscribe and comment, and as always, come on you Spurs.